Hey y'all, it's Andrea over at Sewspire.com. I am here with recipe 11 and I promise we are finishing my beautiful life messenger bag surprise today. So what I need to do, again, designing on the fly, I need to design a messenger flap for this bag. I know I want it to be approximately 12 inches wide and yeah, 12 inches wide finished will be great. So we're going to make a cut of 13 inches. And then I would like that to be about 16 inches tall so that it gives me plenty of room to cover the depth and give that a little angle. So I'm going to cut this flap 13 by 17. I for sure want to feature this sushi fabric on the exterior, and then as well as a strip of the cherry blossoms and a little bit of the wax canvas. So I had to work in an additional print for the interior lining of the flap, so I'm sure that I'll have enough. So I'm going with this pink. I think it matches pretty good and it just has tiny little splotches on it. So I think that'll be okay. In a perfect world, I'd have more of this sushi fabric, but I'm positive about this flap, so I gotta roll with it. Okay, so again, we're gonna be cutting 13 inches wide. And we're going to try and get that 17 inches long. And I'm just going to be piecing this fabric together, true up those edges, and I'm cutting 2 pieces at a time there. So I got my 13, and then I'm going to go ahead and lay these out and see about how much wax canvas I need. So this is 15 inches tall. So I probably only need about 3 inches of that wax canvas. And I have a piece here that's actually is 13 inches wide and a little longer. So I'm going to hang on to that and not trim it down just so I can stitch this together and see how that works out for me. I think I would like this wax canvas to end up at the bottom of that flap, so I'm going to position that right sides facing on my sushi fabric and adjoin that with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And then remember, you can't iron the wax canvas, so you just kind of have to press that up. And I am going to go ahead and stitch that, top stitch that, just to hold that down. So there I have that. Now I want to position my cherry blossom fabric on top of that, right sides facing, on top of the sushi piece, which will be the top, and go ahead and stitch that in place. That cotton fabric you can press, so I'm going to press it first and then add the row of top stitching. Okay, so that's what my panel looks like. I just want to top stitch across that cherry blossoms to get that seam to lay flat. And in total, this piece is 18, well, it's 17.5 inches tall by 13 inches wide. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim that up to the 16-inch, desired 16-inch length. And then I need to cut a like-size piece of batting and this pink accent fabric, which it does match the flowers, but do I love it? I'm just going to check my stash and make sure there's nothing else I like more. Guys, I found this gold specks that really goes so nice with the sushi. So I'm going to ditch the pink, which I'm not a huge fan of, and I'm going to piece together that interior too. This bag is for me, so I want to really like every aspect of it, and that pink was not making me happy. So now what I can do is work in some more of my sushi fabric. So right now all I'm doing is getting that 13-inch width that I know I need. And that is going to do it for me. I'm going to position these pieces right sides facing and join them and then press them. Okay, so that's going to be the interior, and it is almost spot on. It is 13 inches wide and just a smidgen over 17. So I'm going to trim that up. Now I need a piece of batting, same size. Because I didn't top stitch this interior yet, I'm going to position the batting underneath of that and then top stitch that seam, and that will do double duty for me and secure the batting to the flap, the interior, as well as keep that seam laying nice and flat for me. I doubt that I will ever wash this bag with the vinyl exterior, but I won't have to worry about it if I do. Okay, I'm just going to add a row of top stitching to get that seam to lie nice and flat in there. This is the interior lining for the flap, and then this is the exterior. And so I want to take right sides facing and position those together. And what I see here is, I must have got my measurements mixed up. My exterior is 16 inches. I cut that a little short, I think. And then my lining is 17. It's not the end of the world, but I am going to make them both 13 by 16. Okay, so now I have those right sides facing. I'm going to sew the sides and the bottom of that closed. The top can remain open to turn. And then for these flaps, I do like to trim that up pretty close, about a 1/4 inch, because it's kind of like a finished garment. You know, you turn it right side out and you don't want it chunky or anything. And you want those seams to lie nice and flat. So I trim those pretty close, and then I'm going to turn it right side out and press it well. And then I'm going to come back in and top stitch around those 3 edges. Okay, so here's the front of my flap and the back of my flap. And now I just want to top stitch, so I'll come down the side, across the base, and up the side. Right, ta-da, flap done. Now I have to decide. I'm changing my mind again. I think the flap is going to come around like this. Let's look and see which we like the looks of best. Definitely. Okay, the flap is going to get tucked in between the interior and the exterior of that rear panel, which for me will be the wide vinyl pocket. And I just want to tuck that down in there about 2 inches, 1.5 inches. I still want to see that cherry blossom fabric, so I'm trying to preserve that. And I tuck that in there and then attach the sides first, and then you can come back in after that's stabilized and fold that up and put a pin in the center. Just don't poke yourself. And then you can look on the inside and see if everything is aligned. So here's how that's gonna close up. And in regards to a closure, I have some white snaps, and I think those would be really fun on this. A little the back got on that, but it would be a little white snap at the bottom there. If you did not want to see your hardware, you could come in from the inside of the flap and install that there. And then I'm not entirely sure if I have to have a closure. A center closure looks kind of fun too, but I don't know if I can make it through all that vinyl. So I'll be thinking on the closure while I create the strap. So this is what it looks like here on the back, and that's just tucked in there nice and secure on the inside. Ooh, I'm so excited. Okay, now I have to work on the strap. So for this, I have this awesome cornflower blue webbing that I got at Joann's, and I have plenty of this now to create a crossbody. If you're not familiar, that's what a tri-glide is. And so you just insert your strapping in like that, and then you fold over an end of that strapping and stitch that in place. I folded under the raw edge, and now you just with an X or a Z stitch that in place to hold. So I have my tri-glide attached at that center bar, and then what I want to do is take a second tri-glide and attach that through the top of that with the right sides facing out. So then a second piece of webbing will go through the bottom there. Okay, so that's what that looks like. You could also use an O-ring, but the tri-glide will help keep the strap nice and straight. Okay, and then this raw edge goes up through the bottom and down through the top, and that allows your strap to be adjustable. And then at this end, you have the remaining bottom buckle, which you're going to cut off a piece of this webbing, and I feel like 6 inches is good, and just thread that through the bottom of that tri-glide, and now you have a nice wide adjustable strap. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch this bottom piece together. All right, and now the strap ends get tucked in at the sides, at center, in between the interior and the exterior layers. I'm getting so excited. I can't even stand it. This is so much better than I ever imagined. It's like a gift from the universe to me, a gift from my creative genius to me. I'm so excited. Okay, so now the last thing I have to do is sew on that top. So I'm going to remove the machine deck. I'm going to start at the side and then move really slowly going around. The most important thing here is you do not want that flap to shift or any of that interior fabric to get wrinkled or tucked in. So again, go very slow. That's the key. Okay, I made it all the way around. It looks good. I want to go back in and add a second row of stitching at the straps. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I love this bag so much. Here's what it looks like. Now the only other thing that I have to decide is if I want those snaps on there or if I want something else. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to load it up and see if I even need them or if there is something else that I want to use there that could be so cool. So you all should know how to install hardware. If you don't, I do have lots of tutorials that have the hardware in there, and I will post an update on what I decided. I just don't want to install the snaps if I don't need them because I don't want anything taken away from the fabulous sushi fabric. So here's how it turned out. I have pockets for everything I could need. I could put really fun things in this back pocket that people are actually gonna see. And then on the inside, the ultimate in organization. Oh, it was such a wonderful project with so many fun twists. So this is basically is a mini taste of my masterclass AMC, which I host quarterly over on the Patreon page. If you're not familiar, Patreon is a platform in which you can join and become a member and support creators like myself. And so we have a whole wonderful community over there on Patreon, and I'll put the link down below if you would like to join us and go in depth into my design process and actually get to design in a group setting. The next AMC starts at the beginning of April, so now is the perfect time to join. You can spend the next month perusing and taking advantage of more than a year of content that has been shared exclusively with our patrons. I'm going to open up just a few spots for new patrons to come on board, so you probably don't want to wait. Again, the price is phenomenal in comparison to the value that you get, because when you're coming in now, you're scooping a year of content. So the benefits of being a patron, a Sewspire patron at least, are cumulative. So that's why not very many people give up their spot once they get one. And I am keeping that at a limited number of people so that we can maintain that small, intimate community that we have. Many beautiful friendships are formed as a result of that. So it's just an option. I'm just sharing it. No obligation whatsoever. You know you'll see me next week for another tutorial. If you're missing my look through the design book, that is now on Fridays over at sewspire.com. So make sure you head on over there on Fridays or sometime during your weekend and check out the look through the design book. I thank you for joining me. I thank you for your flexibility while this project morphed into something that I didn't even know it was going to be. As always, it was an absolute pleasure to sew with you. The creative genius in me will be celebrating the creative genius in you. Y'all have a beautiful week, and I'll see you Tuesday.